Recently, I have discovered the joy in living a simple and intentional lifestyle. Trust me guys when I say there is nothing better than taking the time to hit the pause button on the whirlwind of craziness that we have in our daily lives and taking the time to simply enjoy the experience of living. Now, living more intentionally is a process that I worked on throughout the entirety of 2020, and one of the things that I found to be very helpful within this process is implementing the concepts of Hygge into my lifestyle. Now, for those of you who don't know, Hygge is a Scandinavian term that comes out of Denmark, and it translates into English as a feeling of coziness, togetherness, and contentment, which is basically the only way that I want to feel for the rest of the winter season. Personally speaking, Hygge is a concept that calls for us to create a warm and inviting environment in which simple and intentional living happens naturally. So today, I wanted to show you how to create a Hygge home in just 5 easy steps. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, one of the easiest ways that you can create a Hygge-like atmosphere within your home is by using ambient lighting and sound. Hygge actually calls for us to turn away from the stark overhead lighting that is so common within modern apartments and houses, and instead opt for the warm tones of candlelight, small lamps, and twinkle lights that we can place around our homes to create a more ambient effect. Now, this is actually something that I've been practicing for years. Even in the house that I grew up in, we never really seemed to have any of the overhead lights on, and my mom and dad always opted for smaller lamps just around our house. I know this might seem kind of weird, but the stark overhead lighting that I have in my apartment today honestly kind of reminds me of medical offices, which are like the least cozy place in the entire world, whereas the warm lighting of small lamps and candles specifically remind me of sitting fireside and just warming up with a hot drink, and it's literally just the most comfortable feeling of all time. So definitely try that if you haven't already, because candlelight instead of overhead lighting is amazing. Now, if you're looking for any recommendations in terms of candles, I just picked 2 up from Amazon a few weeks back, and they've become somewhat of a staple here in my apartment. They come in a pack of 2, and they're handmade aromatherapy candles. One of them is a fresh rose scent, and the other one is a lavender scent. And honestly, they are absolutely to die for. And on top of that, they are paraben-free and cruelty-free, which basically just ticks off all of my boxes. So if you're interested in picking those up, I will leave links to them down in the description box below. Now, another thing that you can do when you're trying to create this cozy environment within your home is using ambient sound. This is something that I've actually started doing recently, and basically all I really do is just go to my noisemaker and turn on the sound setting to the thunderstorm setting, and it just creates this really relaxing sort of ambiance within my home. Now, obviously, not everybody has their own standalone noisemaker, but luckily we do not need one to achieve this effect. There are actually hundreds of videos on YouTube that you can search for your own favorite relaxing sound that you can play within your apartment or home. I actually have a few favorites that are 9 to 10 hours in length, and I just find that they're very relaxing to listen to if I don't want to listen to the generic noisemaker that I have here in my apartment. If you're interested in checking those out, I'll definitely leave those linked down in the description box below, but for now, let's go ahead and move on to step number 2. Now, like I said, the key to Hygge is creating a warm and inviting environment within your home. And to me, nothing does that better than warm and cozy blankets and quilts. Now, I don't know about you guys, but one of my favorite ways to unwind after a really long and trying day is to come home and get under a warm blanket with a hot drink and watch a movie or read a good book.
And even more, there's just something wonderful about an old-fashioned quilt. Maybe it's because I come from a family of quilters, but using an old-fashioned quilt really just sparks a joy inside of me that I can't quite explain. Not to mention, having handmade quilts within my home really just reminds me of a simpler time when intentional living was just a normal way of life, and it almost inspires me to continue with this mindset on a daily basis.
Now, speaking of warm drinks, let's go ahead and talk about my favorite part of Hygge, which is the fact that Hygge living basically calls for bottomless warm beverages. And if that doesn't get you on board with this lifestyle, then I don't know what will. If you guys follow me on Twitter or other social media platforms, you'd probably know that I'm addicted to coffee and tea and really just warm drinks in general. And I think that's why this is my favorite part of Hygge living. Now, even when I'm on the go, having a warm mug with me makes me feel like I'm cozy and content with whatever I'm doing, even when it's a little bit more busy of a situation. And this really is such an easy step, but at the same time, it is a really important part of this process because it allows you to continue practicing hygge even when you're not home. So another key concept in hygge is bringing natural elements and fixtures from nature back into our homes. Now, while hygge isn't really an aesthetic per se, there are certain touches that you can put within your space to make them more cozy and inviting. One example of this that you'll see throughout many different hygge homes are wooden pieces of furniture that are kind of sprinkled throughout the natural decor. This is because hardwood and other natural elements like that really remind us of the peacefulness of nature and just the great outdoors. So when we decide to decorate our home with wooden furniture and other natural pieces, it's almost like we're bringing that natural piece from nature back into our homes. Now, obviously, not every single home is built with hardwood floors and wood panelings by default. I'm very fortunate in that my apartment does have these features within them. However, if you don't have these features, you can always achieve this step by just adding different elements of wood, whether that be through furniture or decorations in general, into your home slowly over time. Now, what's really great about this concept in hygge living is the fact that you can go into almost any antique store and find some really amazing wooden pieces and different natural pieces of furniture that you can bring back into your home. And all of that can be purchased for pennies on the dollar. And I just think that's really fantastic versus going to a name brand store and buying furniture that is full priced when you can go to a thrift store and buy something at a discounted rate. And then from there, it would be even more affordable and sustainable, which I just think is awesome. Now guys, this final step that I have for you in terms of creating a hygge home is one of the easiest ways that I feel like you can start implementing practices of hygge into your daily life. Now that in mind, even though this is one of the simplest steps within the entire process, I also feel like it's a part that is easily overlooked when you're first starting to implement practices of hygge into your daily routine. Unfortunately, I feel like we as a society oftentimes tend to focus on the aesthetics or materialistic aspects of any lifestyle, and hygge living is no exception to that rule. That in mind, guys, hygge living is more of something that you feel versus something that you see, so really the only thing that you need to do to create a hygge home is just implementing practices of habits that make you feel content and cozy. For example, if you are the kind of person who feels the most comfortable and relaxed when you are at home underneath a warm blanket, sipping a cup of tea, then by all means, pour yourself a cup, get underneath your favorite blanket, and just relax, and from there, living simply and hygge living will come naturally. Likewise, if you're the kind of person who really enjoys warming up in a hot bath with a candle lit and maybe listening to music, then that is a fantastic way of getting started with hygge living. Well guys, there you have it. Those are 5 simple steps that you can take to create a hygge home. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you gave this video a big thumbs up because it really does help out my channel. You can also leave a comment down below letting me know if you found value within this video or if you want to see more like it, or you can even request other types of videos within this kind of sphere of intentional living because I would love to get your recommendations on that. But anyways guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and that you're staying safe, warm, and cozy out there. And other than that, I will see you all in the next one.